And what separates the conscious mind from the subconscious mind is the analytical mind. And your thinking neocortex, that seat of your identity, this part of the brain, plugs you into three-dimensional reality. And if you couldn't see anything, smell anything, hear anything, taste anything, feel anything, you would have no experience of the three-dimensional reality. So our senses plug us into three-dimensional reality. Yes or no? So then, when you diminish sensory information and you're not moving and you're still, you're not eating anything, you're not smelling anything, you're not tasting anything, you're not getting up and moving and experiencing and feeling anything, you're not seeing anything, the music is filling the space. Less sensory information in your brain causes your thinking neocortex to slow down. So then the neocortex then is busy integrating information. Its job is to create meaning or coherence between what's going on out there and what's going on in here. So it's processing a lot of sensory data, what I'm saying, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're feeling, are you hungry, are you tired, who's next to you, what you smell. All of this information is being integrated into the brain, and if you study the brain and its brain waves, it's beta brainwave patterns. Right? And beta brainwaves allow us to be analytical. That's what allows us to discern, allows us to learn, compare what we know against what we don't know, to navigate in our life. We need that part of our brain to plug us into the world. And when you wake up in the morning and your eye starts to perceive light, there's a signal that goes right to a nucleus in the brain that signals the sympathetic nervous system, that signals the pineal gland that makes serotonin, and serotonin starts that process of producing those beta brainwave patterns, and now you're awake and aware in three-dimensional reality. And most of you right now are in beta brainwaves, but in beta brainwaves, you are separate from the subconscious mind because you're in your conscious mind. But if I said to you this morning, you can't go to lunch unless you pass the test, it's only 125 questions, you would kind of lean in a little bit more, and you turn that light bulb of your brain up a little brighter, and now you would move into a mid-range beta, and that's called eustress, that's good stress. If you're getting ready to give a lecture, you're getting ready to, or you're at a dinner and you're meeting a bunch of people and you want to learn their names, you're going to pay attention a little bit more. You understand? So the brain perks up a little bit more and you move into mid-range beta. Now, when you're angry, when you're frustrated, when you're resentful, when you're impatient, when you're judgmental, you move, or fearful or anxious, you move into a very high range called high beta brainwave patterns that's more than 3 times as high as low-level brainwave patterns. Now, all of a sudden, in that high-level beta, no new information can enter the nervous system that's not equal to the emotion that you're experiencing because it's not relevant. It's not a time to learn. It's not a time to open your heart. It's not a time to create. It's not a time to sit still. You'll be eaten. And the survival gene is switched on, and when you're in high beta, you get overly analytical. And now you're moving further away from the operating system where you have to make those changes in those subconscious programs. Are you with me still? And people get stuck in this state. And when they're stuck in this state, it's like driving your sports car in first gear on the freeway. You're going to burn out sooner or later. And so now the person is in survival. They're in emergency mode. The brain is aroused. And they're primarily feeling fear or anxiety or worry, pain and suffering, or they're feeling anger, aggression, frustration, something like that. And the arousal is telling the brain to pay more attention to the danger in the outer environment. More attention to the body, because in survival, you got to take care of the body, and people get selfish. And more attention to time. The body, the environment, and time. And now, in high beta brainwaves, now the person is overly analytical. How many people have been stressed or in emergency, and you keep thinking the same thought over and over again? You're in a loop. Well, that's because you're narrowing your focus on the danger, on the cause. And in survival, that's really good. But when you get overly focused like that and your brain stays in that aroused state, most people believe they need something out there. Some exogenous substance, something, a shopping spree, gambling, video gaming, a drug, a drink, something to change their inner state. And now they're dependent on their outer world to change their inner world. That's a subconscious program. And they're giving their power away to whatever it is that's going to help them to sedate the brain and body. All right. So would you agree then, when you're in that aroused state, you're changed, you're altered in some way, you're not your normal self? And it takes an enormous amount of the body's resources to be able to adapt to that condition, because when you're in emergency like that, your body is a priority. And the arousal causes you to pay more attention to your body, more attention to the cause in your outer environment. So now, and you draw from this invisible field of vital energy, your life force, your reserve of energy, and you're turning it into chemistry to deal with that danger in your outer world. And it takes an enormous amount of the body's resources to be able to adapt to that condition, because when you're in emergency like that, your body is a priority. And that arousal then causes a very specific type of focus. And the hormones of stress heighten the senses. And now we become materialists. And now we're defining three-dimensional reality because that's what our senses are telling us is real. Now, in this state, the arousal, the mobilization of energy that's created, the person then feels a rush of energy. And now they're prepared for that danger. And in survival, you got three choices: run, fight, or freeze and hide. Now, how many people have been under stress and they're either they feel like they need to take somebody out, they feel like they need to run away from their life, or they need to go hide in the closet until it passes. And people spend the majority of their life, 70% of the time, always preoccupied with imminent danger because the chemicals are still running and they're looking for the next danger because they're perceiving the world through the lens of survival. They're in emergency mode. Now, if you're being chased by Tyrannosaurus Rex, it's a good idea to switch on that system, the autonomic nervous system. The body's innate system for balance, to keep the body healthy and in balance, has to make a decision. It says, this thing out there looks potentially dangerous. And it says, my God, let's mobilize all the energy that we have. Not 20%, not 40%, not 60%, not 80%. You're going all in. Yes or no? So if you're being chased by Tyrannosaurus Rex, or you're perceiving a threat in the environment, and it's an unknown, and it looks dangerous, you mobilize all of this energy, and now you're prepared. The autonomic nervous system is saying, we're going all in, because the body is the priority here in the environment. But what if it isn't Tyrannosaurus Rex waiting outside the cave for you? What if it's your coworker working right next door, right in the next cubicle? What was once very adaptive becomes very maladaptive. And when you turn on that stress response and you can't turn it off, now you're headed for a disease, because no organism can live in that alarmed emergency state for an extended period of time. You're mobilizing all this energy for some threat in your outer world. You have no energy in your inner world for growth and repair. And so then people are relying on their outer environment to do it. Now here's the question. If the survival gene is switched on and your brain is in high beta, and the whole purpose of meditation is to slow your brain waves down from beta, high beta, to mid-range beta, to low-level beta, cross the analytical mind, get into alpha. When the survival gene is switched on, you would have to agree with me, it's not a time to create. And if you're living conditioned by those chemicals, you're dependent. You need the bad job, you need the bad relationship, you need to listen to the news, you need the traffic to get the arousal of those chemicals. Then people become conditioned or addicted to the life they don't even like. And that's why change is so hard. And when that chemical cocktail is released, there'll always be a gap between the way things appear and the way things really are. And if you react during that time, you will always say the same thing. I should have never said that. I should have never done that. I should have never sent that email or that text. I should have never thought that, because you're altered in that state. You're narrowing your focus on whatever it is in the outer world because you have to pay attention to that danger.